Thanks for joining us for this very special edition of Weekend Winners. It is Rising Sun Race Night at Albion Park on Saturday night. It's a bumper 10 race program. All races are stacked, so many features, but the big one is the Rising Sun, which comes through as race number 8. That is one of two Group 1s, the other being race number 7, the inaugural running of the Great Square, the new race on the calendar for 3 and 4-year-old trotters, mobile start conditions. So we are here to preview all of these features. We kick off at 5:10 on Saturday night. Tab have come to the party with that first 4 jackpot of $50,000 on the Rising Sun. So that's race number 8, projected pool to go in excess of $200,000. So it's well worth doing the form, and the horse to beat is Leap to Fame. On Monday night, the barrier draw was staged in town in Brisbane, and he landed gate number 7, the outside of the front row in this 2,138 metre contest. Will that be enough to stop this runaway freight train that is Leap to Fame? The best horse in the state, the best horse in the country. I've got the crew here with me to discuss this race and all other features. Bronte Neuenberg is with us now. Bronte, Leap to Fame, gate 7. Can he be beaten?
I don't think he can be beaten. He does hold the record on Sulky App as the best national sulky rating, and the only horse that's ever come close is Honolulu Bay. So the next best horse is 2 seconds off.
Okay, so there's the answer there. Leap to Fame. Darren Clayton joins us. Darren, Leap to Fame, gate 7. What were your initial thoughts following the draw?
Yeah, it was interesting. Grant Dixon had the choice of 7 or 13. That was what was left, and he opted for 7. I think that stamps his intentions pretty early. He will just be going forward and keep on trucking, whether he sits parked or goes to the front. And I'm pretty sure you'll be calling Leap to Fame the winner on Saturday.
Okay, Ryan Spice joins us as well. Ryan, gate 7. Your thoughts on Leap to Fame?
He looks the winner here, Chris. He's a wonderful horse. He will roll forward and try to dominate the race from the outset. Perhaps bad luck can beat him.
Okay, so there you have it. It's a clean sweep. We're all in the corner of Leap to Fame. We will get to that race in a little bit longer from now, but we've got a lot of races to focus on, and our first race gets underway at 5:10. The Burwood Stud Southeast Oaks is the first of our features on Saturday night, coming through as race 2 at 5:35. And this is going to be a very intriguing race. It's the final lead-up in preparation for the Group 1 Queensland Oaks in 2 weeks' time. Many of the fillies that contested the Redcliffe Oaks back up here. And the barrier draw has made it very intriguing. Peaceful Lands, gate number 1, Dual Melody in 4, and the Redcliffe Oaks winner, who went off at big odds that night, Cheerleader, must overcome a second row draw. So how does this all play out? Let's ask the experts. Bronte Neuenberg, how do you sort of gauge the Redcliffe Oaks here, not the Redcliffe Oaks, the Southeast Oaks coming out of the Redcliffe Oaks?
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a very interesting race early. I see fireworks. There has been some talk from the connections of Peaceful that she may hand up in this event, and if we look at our gate speed, she does have the best gate speed in this race. It's if she does hand up who she hands up to, I think Little Miss Lily can potentially cross Promised Land and be the first one to challenge, and Tintin Joe I can see will also be potentially coming forward. Dual Melody is going to have to hustle forward. She needs to be closer to the front in this race, and if she does manage to bully her way to the front, I do think she'll be incredibly hard to beat.
Okay, so Dual Melody very brave in the Redcliffe Oaks. Peaceful on the flip side, very disappointing. Reading the Stewards report, Darren, it made for interesting reading. What was your interpretation?
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to the interpretation of it. It's said there that consideration may be given. I think may is the important word there, and depends how much pressure is applied in the run. And it was in races beyond a mile, so we go over the 2,138 here. So she's got that speed. We know she's got the speed. She kicks through. Depends how much pressure comes. I think there will be a lot of pressure because Dual Melody will be coming calling whether she's too wide for too long, and they opt then to just keep her at the wheel because it's too tough a run. Dual Melody, she was enormous in the Redcliffe Oaks, so she's clearly a top filly and has been right the way through her career. So I think she eventually finds her position in front. Tintin Joe then probably has to roll forward at some point. I think Promised Land then gets a nice little trail there, and Windy Hill Tara, the New South Wales Oaks winner, first up from a spell, probably a perfect trip for her. First up, tucked away, can be saved for one run.
Ryan, is it clear cut that Dual Melody gets the lead here, or could there be a little spoke in the wheel for her?
I think she's going to have to work to get there, Chris. I can definitely see Peaceful being able to hold Promised Land and Little Miss Lily early, but in saying that, I do expect Little Miss Lily to have a really big bite for the top with Anthony Butt in the sulky. I think she does find top after maybe 400 to 600 metres, but I think she would have worked to get there.
Okay, Bronte, what is the top-rated filly for the Southeast Oaks?
Yeah, so the top-rated filly on Sulky is Jewel Melody. She may become vulnerable if she has to work really hard to get to the front, and if she is vulnerable at the end, I can see horses like Madrigal and Peaceful sweeping late because they have such fast last quarters or just general fast quarters for their name. So I can see them being horses that could make her vulnerable at the end.
Okay, so Jewel Melody, top-rated filly. Are you tipping Jewel Melody?
I think she can certainly win. I'm going for a little bit of value in the race. I think No Dramas, her 2 runs since she's been in Queensland, both been completely luckless. First up at Albion Park, she was tucked away looking for runs that just never eventuated, went to the line hard held. She then went around in the Redcliffe Oaks, second line draw, snagged back, went to make her run at about the 600 where Eve Crocker made a move and looking to get that card into the race, and Eve Crocker hit the wall and Robbie Morris had to dart back, got checked up, looking for runs again. He ended up on the back of Cheerleader, who won the race and really finished it off nicely. So if he finds a nice spot, I think she is a knockout hope. Jewel Melody, obviously, you know, she's a top filly, and Peaceful should get that nice trip.
Okay, locally trained fillies have won the past 2 editions. Last year, Racy Roxy going off at good odds. 2 years ago, it was Sporty Dancer for Shannon Price. Can the locals win it? Can Cheerleader do the double? Redcliffe Oaks, Southeast Oaks?
Chris, she can, but she'll certainly need some tempo to be able to figure in the finish late. I'm clearly with Jewel Medley here. I think she gets the front and she becomes the horse to beat. Her Redcliffe Oaks performance was sensational. Peaceful can certainly bounce back. I think she can control that map early, take the sit and definitely run top 2. No reason to drop off Cheerleader. As we said, she's probably the best value in the race.
Yep. I'm going to stick with that Redcliffe Oaks form, but I'm just going to reverse the result. I'm going to give Jewel Melody the on-top tip there to beat Cheerleader. She was really good in the Oaks. She got genuine tempo. Many just sort of cast her aside in the Oaks. Even Grant Dixon said she was probably lucky to gain a start, but there she was, getting the right run, and she was able to finish over the top. I think this race is going to generate good tempo, and she might be hard to beat again. So I'll go 4, 12, 9 and 1. That is the Southeast Oaks for Burwood Stud. That promises to be a very good race, kicking off at 5:35. The Burwood Stud Southeast Derby comes through as race number 3 on Saturday night, and this promises to be a very intriguing race, just like the Oaks. This is the final lead up for the Group 1 Queensland Derby in 2 weeks' time, so there's plenty at stake here. Barrier draws made it interesting. At this stage, it's all pointing towards those south of the border. On Deadline, Gate 1, Naturally Gifted, Gate 2, and then you've got a few of the McCarthy runners also drawing the front row. So how does this all set up? Well, let's go straight to Bronte and see how she sort of finds their gate speed. Bronte, how do you look at the Derby?
Yeah, so I actually think that this race is probably the most easy to map, especially at the start of the race based on the gate speed. So we measure our gate speed by how many lengths a horse travels in the first 7 seconds of the event, and Naturally Gifted clearly stands out at 27.4 lengths over on Deadline, who has 24.9, just to show that he will cross easily because there's at least a 2 to 3 length difference there. Once he gets the front, I think he will dictate. He could be vulnerable at the end. There's some really nice horses in the field, so I think it's going to be an interesting run, but the start of the race I think is going to be quite simple.
Okay, Darren, last year, Can't Find a Better Man was able to take down Leap to Fame 2 years ago, the Kiwi Colt American dealer for Anthony Budd, and Anthony's got a live chance here with Doug's Platter. Is it obvious here, Naturally Gifted in front? Is he the horse to beat?
He certainly is. I think the way it pans out, Naturally Gifted should just roll to the front. Nathan Turnbull, you spoke to him earlier in the week and he suggested that he'd be quite happy to take a trail on Naturally Gifted, so you would expect then that Naturally Gifted goes straight to the front. That puts On Deadline on his back. You then got Ragazzo Ditilli, 3 back defence, and then who sets up outside? Well, RD's Flash follows out Naturally Gifted, so if Pete McMullen wanted to chance his arm early, he could certainly fire through and take a good early shot. He moved around them in the Redcliffe Derby and found the front, and he went within a whisker of winning that race. So he's a progressive horse, RD's Flash. So I've got him in the running line, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pete forced through early and really had a good hard look.
Okay, Ryan, I've got to ask this question. With Naturally Gifted, he went up at $2 earlier in the week when markets were first released. Is that good shopping or is that poor value? Are you looking for more as far as the price is concerned with Naturally Gifted? Do you think he's unders?
Chris, I think he should be favourite for the race from the Great Barrier, but I'm a bit concerned of where the horse is at. 2 starts for Jack Trainer. I haven't been wowed by his performances. I thought he was a little bit plain late in the Redcliffe Derby. I can understand why he's favourite. I think 2.25 is clear unders. He'd have to push right out to well over $3 to become a bet for me. Even Derby this year, on deadline first up, happy to take on. Naturally Gifted, a few question marks. Then we've got 3 Belinda McCarthy runners, 3 Chantal Turpin runners. So I can't imagine it's going to be pedestrian speed. So I think it's a wide open Derby and maybe a local victory is on the cards.
Okay, you're looking for value. We'll get to that in just a moment. Bronte, what is the best rated runner for the Derby?
Yeah, well, you did just mention a local victory. So if we look at our summary, Sure Thing Captain does have the best rating in this race, and Doug's Platter is pretty much on par with that. However, they're both disadvantaged by their draw. I do really like Doug's Platter in this race. He has a very great last 400 metres. And in saying that, on deadline, he may not rate as well as the others, but he's just going to get the perfect run behind Naturally Gifted, and another horse too, Naturally Gifted. He doesn't rate as well as Sure Thing Captain and Doug's Platter, but having an easy lead, he becomes on par with them. So I can't pick a clear winner easily in this race, but I do think it's going to be quite exciting.
Okay, Darren, On Deadline's a key runner. He's fresh into this race. Last start, Menangle winner, beating the likes of Don Hugo, Rocket Coco. That form's been frank. We've seen both of those horses win throughout the carnival thus far. Fresh, but he's had 3 recent trials. The most recent was on Monday night. So how do you sort of gauge him, and is he your selection?
He's not. I've got him in my numbers, obviously, but yeah, I think it's a big ask. He does step up a little bit here, gets the gate advantage, that's for sure. He's going to get the perfect trip. He'll be tucked away, ready to take that closing shot. Naturally Gifted, I think this is his opportunity. This is his race. He gets to the front easily enough, and if he's going to win a big one, he's come up a little short in a few big ones in his career to date. The races like the Gold Crown, the Gold Chalice, the New South Wales Derby, he's just been behind them. I think this is his opportunity. So yeah, I've got him on top, and like I said, RD's Flash will certainly be thereabouts and on deadline with that trip. Okay, so Ryan, you're tipping a local victory. So what have you come up with?
Chris, I want to play Sure Thing Captain on a 1x4 basis at around that $6 quote. This horse has been sensational this prep. He had no right to win first up when breezing in really fast time. Then he led over 2100 and dropped to 54.5 in second gear. He was the run of the race at Redcliffe, sitting parked in the Derby. If you watch closely, you could make an argument he didn't handle the track that well. If he gets an ounce of luck here, they go overdo it a bit, I think he can certainly be the one.
Okay, so Sure Thing Captain for Ryan. I'm playing it safe. I'm going with the well-drawn favourite, Naturally Gifted. There's got to be more improvement to come. He's peaking towards the Group 1 Queensland Derby, but this is a perfect stepping stone for him. So I'll go 2.10.16. Doug's Platter, the Victorian. He was awesome last week, 54.5 his closing half, and if there's plenty of pepper early, he'll be thundering home once again. So he just needs that pace, but it could pan out. So 2.10.16 for me. That's the Burwood Stud Southeast Derby. Start time for that race getting underway at 6:10. The next of our features on Saturday night is the Somerset Farms Darryl Alexander Memorial Trotting Championship Series final. We've seen heats over the past fortnight, and what we've got here on Saturday night is a very open race. There is a stack of chances here, so it's not an easy race to pull apart. So let's go straight to Bronte and see if she can put us in the right direction here, because trying to work out how this race will unfold is a mystery. So ability ratings here being a stand start. Bronte, how do you see it?
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. I see this as one of the most even races probably of the whole carnival. And if we do look at the ability ratings, the 2 horses that stand out from racing this preparation with a really good national sulky rating is Aldebaran Misty and Call Me Trouble, who are winners of the heats. However, Sir Fahrenheit from previous seasons does have very good ratings. So if he's back up to his best, he's very competitive in this. In saying that though, because it is such an even race, it is a massive advantage to be on the fence over the longer trip, and that's how I see it, that I think the first 3 horses will probably, hopefully, be close to the fence or near the front.
All right, so it's not an easy one here, Darren. Last year, locally trained victor, Global Flight, who backs up on Saturday night. In fact, Global Flight was able to beat Majestic Harry Indefensible finishing 6th. Those 3 horses qualify again this year. So how do you sort of break down this year's edition?
Yeah, I think they are the only 3 too that actually come through from last year. So This is a wide open race, and being the standing start, you've got to take manners into consideration. You've got a capacity field. It's all going to be happening early. So looking from a mapping perspective, you just probably got to take those on trust. Hammer's Law, he's been super in his Queensland day, or 3 starts he's had here for Anthony Butt. He's been able to be runner-up in all 3 runs. Excellent beginner. I think he can press forward, get his way to the front like he did in the first round. He's, like I say, brilliant manners. Just where they all finish. Naughty, he's a good starter at times, but probably a little bit like his name. He can be a little bit naughty and he gets himself into a bit of strife. Aldebaran Misty, she's been super, so excellent manners off the tapes. Ping out early and then take a trail. It's a recipe that's worked in both rounds, so no reason it can't happen again here. So the early stages, it all just comes down to who's got the best manners and who wants to go hard.
All right, there's going to be plenty of value, Ryan. So are you looking for value in this race, or are you going with the favoured runners here?
Yeah, well, I've done one of the favoured runners, Chris. I've actually come up with the bottom horse, Call Me Trouble, who's now had 2 starts, or been driven twice by Adam Richardson. First was in the first heat, and the horse went within a second of breaking the 2,600 metre track record. And then last week he ran his last mile in the second heat in 1:55. They seem to gel well, these two. The horse is nuts by all accounts, according to the trainer. Adam Richardson seems to be getting the best out of Call Me Trouble. I'm just glad this is not a leg of the main quaddie, actually, because it is an absolute field job. But at the early price, I think Call Me Trouble was sort of $9 each way. That's where I've lobbed.
All right, so Brodie, who are you sort of leaning towards with this race? If you were going to have a bet here, who would you sort of lean towards?
Yeah, so if we look at our general summary, like I mentioned earlier, Aldebaran Misty and Call Me Trouble do rate the best. However, if we're looking for value, I think Victory Hill and Global Flight do come into this, as they do have very fast splits, whether it be the last 400 or just a general quarter. So I see them being flashing late.
Okay, Darren, which way are you going in this race?
Yeah, you look at the race, I think the opening price was $6 the field, so that proves just how open it is. I've come up with Global Flight again. His numbers of late weren't great. He then came out last week and was able to run 3rd, sort of ran on. He won this race last year off the front tape. He gets the front tape again. In the race last year, he pinged straight to the front and then gave nothing a chance. He's been thereabouts in his recent starts. The first round heat, he did strike trouble, so put a line through that one. His last run last week over the 2100 was sound. So I think just from a value-wise, the fact he's been there and done it, you look at a history angle, it's against Aldebaran Misty. Hammer's Law, he's been runner-up. He's probably had his opportunity in those 3 runs since he's been here, so he's certainly going to be there. Call Me Trouble, super. So I've got him in for 3rd, and Sir Fahrenheit, you know, he's 3rd up here. His 2nd up run, really good. Only got beat right on the wire by Aldebaran Misty. So it's a wide open race. Global Flight at the value for me.
Okay, looking for back-to-back victories in the DJA. You're with Call Me Trouble?
Yep. For the reasons outlined, Chris, if he gets an ounce of luck, best manners, I think he can be in the finish.
Okay, I'm going to go with Aldebaran Misty. You've got to believe your eyes. She's been awesome. 2,600 last week, back at the 2,100, but the start is crucial, and she begins like an absolute gazelle. So if she pings and leads out, then hands over, she is going to prove very hard to catch. So 3, 15, 7 and 13. That is the DJA, a stand start over the long trip, 2,647 metres, start time at 6:45. The first leg of the main quaddie on Saturday night is the Mares Feature. It's race number 5, the Fleur de Lille Ladyship Stakes. This is a Group 3 race, and it's proudly sponsored by Sulky.app. So let's go to Sulky.app. Bronte, how do you break down this Mares Feature?
Yeah, so I think that this race is, on paper, probably going to map easier than some of the other races. Carla Jane, if we look at our gate speed, she has enough gate speed to hold up. I don't think she will. I see her handing straight up to Uptown Beach Girl, and Donnie Smith, I think, is quite happy with how this mare's been progressing this week, so she's likely to hold the front for the race. Scarlet Babe does have the best gate speed probably of any mare in Queensland, but her map is to go back. Her racing pattern is to go back and save her run until the end.
Okay, so Darren, having a look at this Mares Feature last year, Majida beating moments like these. Victorian mares 1, 2. There's only one Victorian mare this year, and she's an outsider in Orchid Stride. First up for David Miles. The best mare, without doubt on paper, is Braveview Kelly. but she's got a really tough draw, the outside of the second row. So does that point towards a local victory?
I think it does, Chris. And you look at that, like you say, the outside of the second line, it's going to be mighty tough for her to get into the race. Uptown Beach Girl, she's the Albion Park track record holder for mares. On that occasion, she was able to run home in 54 and change the last 800. If Braveview Kelly's out the back, it's impossible for her to be able to overcome that. It's just not physically possible. I think Uptown Beach Girl pings to the front. From there, she's going to be mighty hard to stop. Her run last week was super, off the speed, really ran home. And Carla Jane tucked in behind. You know, we saw her win the Princess of the Bay here at Redcliffe, just stalking the speed. She's an opportunist and she'll be ready to take that shot again.
Well, Ryan, Uptown Beach Girl out of last week's race had the big flashing light on top of her head. She was the eye catcher, really savaged the line. If she leads here and Carla Jane's sitting behind her, they clearly look the top two, don't they?
Yeah, Chris, they do for mine. I think they're going to be leading trail. In saying that, I think Uptown Beach Girl's going to have to, Nathan's going to have to launch her off the arm and hustle her out. Manhattan gets out good, and Orchid Stride, even on her day, if they want to light her up, she can leave the arm well. But I'm really confident that it can be leading trail. And if she looked like she was back to her best last week, Uptown Beach Girl, and we've seen she's already been able to lead and run a 51 mile. And if that's the case, the job for the best mare in the race, who is Braveview Kelly, is just, it's massive.
Yeah.
Can't underestimate how hard that is.
Okay, so Bronte, who is the top rated mare in this race for your ratings?
Yeah, so if we look at our ratings, Braveview Kelly is by far the best rated mare in the field. However, I agree with all your statements. I do think it is close to being an impossible task because she's going to have to go wide with these really great front running horses in front of her. You know, in the situation where there might be fireworks early and Braveview Kelly pushes forward and we're looking for a value and a swooper, I think some horses like Orchid Stride, BK Swai and obviously Carla Jane will be flashing late, as well as Scarlet Babe at her best.
Okay. Darren, Uptown Beach Girl, she's going to be strongly fancied. They'll probably chance their arm, the tab bookies, with Braveview Kelly because of the draw. So how do you sort of place them?
Yeah, I think she's definitely up to the task, Braveview Kelly, at her best. Like, she's a classy mare, but she is the class runner of the field. It comes down to the old adage, class first map, and I think on this occasion, map wins the battle, and Uptown Beach Girl gets that map. And like I said, I think Carla Jane, I certainly give her a good hope. If there's any mid-race pressure, we saw in that Princess of the Bay, she was just waiting, and then when Leonard was able to get her into the passing lane, she really got momentum. She gets a longer straight at Albion Park than she does at Redcliffe, so certainly don't discount her chances. Manhattan probably just has to work too hard. She's had to work hard in her 2 Queensland starts, so it's Uptown Beach Girl for me over Carla Jane, Braveview Kelly running on.
Okay, it looks like we're all singing from the same hymn book here.
Absolutely, Chris. I'm with Uptown Beach Girl to beat Carla Jane. So yeah, happy really to bet up there. Uptown Beach Girl the win and Carla Jane the place.
Yeah, I'm going 2 as well. Uptown and Beach Girl to beat 1 Carla Jane, 11 Braveview Kelly and number 4 Manhattan. So that is the Sulky Dot at Fleur de Lille, and that race is for the mares, and that starts the Tab Quaddie on Saturday night. Start time coming through at 7:13. The final lead up to our open class features over the next fortnight. Next week we've got the Garrard Sunshine Sprint. The week after it's the Grand Circuit event, the Blacks Are Fake. So this race on Saturday night, the Mr. Feelgood, is so important. So many are trying to push their claims to guarantee themselves a start in these upcoming features. And it's drawn together a really intriguing race because the Wonder from the West, Magnificent Storm, lines up. But he's got to overcome a tricky draw coming up at the inside of the second row. So Bronte, looking at this race, the Mr. Feelgood Open, how do you sort of look, or how do you look at it from your ratings viewpoint?
Yeah, so I actually think this is one of the more tricky races to work out for the evening. We don't actually have a gate speed rating for Big Wheels just because of his racing pattern. Since we've been measuring our gate speed, he's been in stands or in second lines, and we haven't been able to record a gate speed rating for him. However, just visually watching him, he does have good gate speed. If he was to be crossed by one early, I do see it being Make Mine Memphis. However, the connections of Big Wheels are going to be very aware of the horsepower that's sitting right behind it, so they could opt to take a trail knowing that then they're pushing one of their biggest rivals further back through the field.
Okay, so the start is crucial to this race. Darren, how do you map it? Do you think Big Wheels has enough speed to hold? Do they want to hold, knowing that Magnificent Storm is drawn behind him? Is this the perfect setup for Expensive Ego to push on and find the front?
Yeah, that's how I see it, Chris. no doubt, Big Wheels, he holds the key to this race altogether. So, like Bronny suggested, they take a trail and they push Magnificent Storm one further back. The other thing you got to look at, leader Peter, he doesn't like taking a backward step, and gate one, the horse hasn't had a gate for a while, so a perfect opportunity to test him. And he's really been super this campaign, Big Wheels, like 2 wins from 4 starts, the other 2 runs sectionally super, so certainly take nothing away. Like I say, he's got the keys to the race. I think just how it's been panning out, I think Expensive Ego presses on and Big Wheels can take a trail. Make Mine Memphis, he's been super as well. He probably ends up in the running line. That pushes Magnificent Storm back to 3 fence, which from there will be a big ask. Kingmaker can roll forward early, and Swayze, the Albion Park track record holder over the 2100 in a midweek event, well, he gets his opportunity to see if he can match the big boys.
Okay, so Ryan, how do you break down the Mr. Feelgood? There's so many questions being tossed about here, but what's your analysis of this race?
Yeah, I think Big Wheels gets to control the map and dictate the fortunes of a few. I'm a little bit worried about Expensive Ego. Not sure where he's at. I thought his last effort in the stand was fairly plain, and then he was beaten by Ultra Orlando, touched off at Menangle 2 starts ago. So I'm a bit worried about where that horse is at, but we know that at his best he's amazing. I think without a doubt we'll see Swayze launched and put into the race at some point when the heat goes on, and that might be the point when Expensive Ego kicks up and actually runs to the front. I can see them with the power going on at least 1200 from home, and if Magnificent Storm gets a crack at him, I think he could be the one.
Okay, Brodie, I'm intrigued here by what comes up as the top-rated horse in this field, because there's so many with so many really good credentials.
Yeah, so the best 2 rated horses are Magnificent Storm and Big Wheels, which is why I suggested that Big Wheels probably wants to push back his rival a little bit further. I did have to include, I know that Tommy Lincoln is the emergency in this race. However, in all of our stats, he kept popping up as a horse that just had such high speed. He was the horse with the fastest straight out quarter, the fastest last 400, and also the best gate speed. He has a bad draw. His actual national sulky rating is quite poor compared to these horses, but if you just break down his speed, he is quite high. So I do need to mention him. There are so many horses in this race that I think are going to be really trying to prove their spot in more races in the Winter Carnival moving forward, so I think it's going to be an exciting race.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year, this was a blowout result. 888 scored, thundered down the outside, went off at big odds. So are we likely to get a bit of a blowout again this week, or do you think the favourites can control it?
I think the favourites can control it. I don't think there needs to be over-the-top sort of pressure in this race. I can't see that happening again. That said, there's certainly every opportunity. We've got Loyalist. He's probably come up at a little bit of a price considering his last start Redcliffe Cup winner. You know, Pete said so was really good last week, and if it is hard early, he's one that can certainly thunder home. I just keep coming back to Expensive Ego. I know Ryan pointed out that he's maybe not sure where he's up to. I think that standing start run, he came off 20 metres. Tim's a Trooper was the winner and broke the track class record in that run, and he was not that far away. His Menangle form, yes, definitely questionable. I think he can bounce back here. I think he pushes forward. Big Wheels, massive opportunity for him to really stamp his name. You know, he's probably lived in the shadow of his big brother Black Sedans to a certain degree, but this is his chance to make his own luck here, and Magnificent Storm, he'll certainly be searching for a way through there.
Okay, so Expensive Ego for Darren. He was very good out of that stand start race last time out sectionally, but which way do you go, Ryan, in the Mr. Feelgood?
Chris, I'm siding with Magnificent Storm, hoping he gets that little bit of luck. I can see this being a last man standing contest with Swayze and Expensive Ego going hammer and tong. So I think if the WA star gets a crack at them late, he might be the one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the WA horse as well, the wonder from the West, Magnificent Storm. Look, he'll need luck, and whatever he does on Saturday night, I'm tipping further improvement for what's to come, both the Sunshine Sprint and the Blacks Are Fake. But he's an intriguing horse with a wonderful record, and he's something to behold as well as far as just his physical makeup is concerned. So looking forward to seeing him on Saturday night. 8-5-1-10 for me there. That's the Mr. Feelgood. Start time for the first leg of the treble at 7:45. Race number 7 on Saturday night. This is the first of our 2 Group 1 features, the inaugural running of the Great Square. It's a new race on our calendar. 3 and 4 year old trotters. We've got representation from far and wide. Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, and we've got a Kiwi rep as well. Hot to Trot lines up for his champion trainer, Mark Jones. And this race is proudly sponsored by Harass des Trotteurs, and it wraps up the Tab Daily Double. We need help putting this puzzle together, so let's go straight to Bronte here. Bronte, how do you sort of come up with some ratings for some of these trotters? Because it's not an easy job.
Yeah, if we look at our gate speed ratings, Kenaturio and Hot to Trot do stand out as having the best gate speed in this race. However, their gate speed isn't, like Hot to Trot's not a full length better than Rockin' With Attitude, and I can see potentially her getting through in the middle. Because this is 3-year-olds versus 4-year-olds, I wouldn't be surprised if the tactics of the 3-year-olds, specifically Kenaturio, would be to hand up and save for one run. And if Hot to Trot did fly off the arm, I can see it getting the front, but I also know that David Miles would be he wants to lead. So if he does kick through in the middle, I can't see any other horse getting past her.
All right, the favourite for this race, Darren, is RC Phoenix for Chris Venozio from Victoria. 4 starts this campaign, 4 wins, and he's looked very, very impressive. So how do you rate him?
Yeah, he's been super. He came through the 3-year-old season pretty well as well, and then he's just gone to another level this time in. Like you said, 4 from 4, and had a pretty good team, did Chris, but this is the only one he's ended up with in the race. But you know, he's been super. It's interesting during the week hearing the comments of a number of the drivers and trainers in this race. There's about 3 or 4 of them all said they want to lead this race. So Chris Venozio has said that he'll be pushing forward. David Miles has said that he's going forward. Mark Jones with Hot to Trot, instructions likely to press forward. So that probably sets it up for a really strong tempo, you would expect, if they all want a piece of that action. And then, like we see, Kenaturio, she's fast out of the gate herself. So I think RC Phoenix bullies his way to the front. I think the pressure will be too much. It's an intriguing race in terms of 3-year-old and 4-year-old trotters. We see it with the Rising Sun, the paces, maybe a little bit more level than the trotters. I think the trotters, the difference between the 3 and 4-year-old, is really intriguing how this will play out. I think Rockin' With Attitude's first to the poles probably lets RC Phoenix go. I think he can get across in front of Hot to Trot. From there, where they position early, it all comes down to their manners, and if they can all stay in their gate from there on. So that's how I sort of see the map panning out.
Okay, Ryan, what are your thoughts? How does this race set up for you?
I think, the David Miles filly is the early leader. I don't like the setup for her though. First up into this contest where everyone is going to be trying their best to win. She's still got the Oaks and the Derby to come potentially. Will she hand? Maybe. David Miles loves to hold though. I'm with RC Phoenix. He's really taken all before him this prep. He's improved immensely. He's a really big, imposing type. I love what he's done so far. I think he's the horse to beat, but I really do want him to drift in the market to become a bet.
Okay, Bronte, what is the top-rated trotter for the Great Square?
The top rated trotters are the Victorians, so Courage Stride and RC Phoenix. And just to put it into perspective with our national sulky ratings, they are 2 seconds better than Rockin' With Attitude. However, if she does get the front, she has the benefit of the inside running. And if she does hold the front, I can see her being vulnerable late with those ratings. And then an interesting horse that pops up a lot in our ratings is London to a Brick with just straight out speed. So I think if that horse does get a good run, it will be flashing late if they go fireworks early.
Okay, so there's a number of options here, but which way are you going to go, Darren?
Yeah, I'm actually going with one off the back line in Courage Stride. I think nothing wrong with his form. You look overall, I think he's missed the money 4 times in 30 starts. So, you know, super record. The other factor I bring into the mix here is Chris Lang, master trainer of trotters, and I don't know when the last time he would have campaigned a trotter. He obviously had that time off the sport. He's back now, and he's got a nice one here. And with that tempo, I've suggested that, you know, quite a few of them all wanting to get in on it. He can just sit back and take the last shot, and he's good enough to win this. Rockin' With Attitude, I think it all comes down to how hard they burn her early, and RC Phoenix, he's so good as well.
Okay, so 11-2-6-5-4. Darren, I can answer that question. 2001, Chris Lang, the last time he was here with a trotter, probably should have won the Inter-Dominion. Who are you tipping to win the Great Square?
I'm with RC Phoenix. I think the 4-year-olds have a huge advantage over the 3-year-olds here. I can see him getting forward, whether he sits parked or rolls to the front. but I definitely want to wait till he gets out as the percentage comes out of the market and hopefully gets out to about the $2.80 mark, and it'll be a bet for me.
Okay, so RC Phoenix for Ryan. I'm going to go with the filly, Rocking with Attitude. Drawn ideally here, she's got good gate speed. If she's in front, she can run a half in around 57. If not a little quicker, I think she's going to prove hard to catch. So 2, 6, 11 and 5. That is the grade square, coming up with multiple different selections there. I think it's going to be a little bit different in our next race, the Rising Sun. But the grade square gets underway at 8:20. Race number 8 on Saturday night. This is the big one. It's the last leg of the Tab Quaddie, and this is the Aqua Constructions Rising Sun. Start time at 8:53. All eyes on this star performer in Leap to Fame. He's drawn out in gate 7. That's the outside of the front row, 2,138 metres. This is the 3rd edition of the Rising Sun. Mares have been to the fore in the 2 editions previously. Last year, Ladies in Red, the inaugural winner, was Amazing Dream. There is no mare set to start this year, so it all points towards Leap to Fame. There is so many different angles that we can take with this race with Leap to Fame. Bronte, you can go first here.
Yeah.
How do you sort of rate Leap to Fame compared to his rivals here?
Yeah, so Leap to Fame, he holds the sulky rating record. He is just such a nice horse. He did take over Honolulu Bay's record on our ratings in his start in the Redcliffe Cup, the Redcliffe feature that he took out. If we do look at our national sulky rating gate speed model, Don Hugo has the best gate speed in this race. However, I believe every horse to its outside is going to want to get in front of Leap to Fame. So I think it's going to be Fireworks Early. The horse that doesn't really compete with its gate speed but still going to be wanting to push forward is My Ultimate Ronnie. So he'll be keeping his toes there, trying to push forward because he's going to be very powerful sitting behind Leap to Fame if he gets that spot. So I think it's going to be Fireworks Early.
Okay, a 3-year-old is yet to win the Rising Sun. We've got 2 again this year, Don Hugo, Rock and Roll Hammer. They're stable mates. Just quickly around the table, do you give either Don Hugo or Rock and Roll Hammer a winning chance here?
I don't give a horse a winning chance against Leap to Fame, if I'm going to be honest.
Okay, Darren?
Unfortunately for these 2 horses, they've probably struck at the race at the wrong time, and yeah, unfortunately no.
Right.
As nice a horse as Rock and Roll Hammer is, it's a clear no.
Okay. Leap to Fame is the best horse in this race. 26 starts, 20 wins, 4 seconds and 1 third. He's missed the place once, and that was when he was 4th at Menangle in a race as a 2-year-old. Interestingly, he's got his stablemate lining up in this race as well. Leap to Fame and Tim's a Trooper. At a guess, how many times do you think they've gone head-to-head in races, Leap to Fame and Tim's a Trooper?
I'm going to say 8.
Darren?
7.
13. So half of his starts Leap to Fame, he's gone up against Tim's a Trooper. He's one of those little horses that just keeps flying under the radar, and he's probably likely to fly under the radar again. Robbie Morris will take the drive. He's won a Group 1 race on Tim's a Trooper. But they've clashed 13 times. 11 times Leap to Fame has won those races, and the other 2 occasions Leap to Fame has run second. So never once has Tim's a Trooper beaten home Leaps of Fame, and it's likely to be that same sort of predicament again for poor old Tim's a Trooper on Saturday night. He's raced pretty much the entire field here already. Leap to Fame, he's already raced against Cobber. That was in a heat of the Victoria Derby last year. We know Can't Find a Better Man has beaten Leap to Fame. That was in the Southeast Derby last year. Last time they clashed, Can't Find a Better Man finished 10th in the Victoria Derby final. So, and he's clearly got the wood on My Ultimate Ronnie. I think they've raced 4 times, and every time Leap to Fame has been able to beat him. So it's all pointing towards Leap to Fame. It's almost impossible to give anything else a realistic winning chance.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think there's going to be probably more action chasing second place. You know, there's a good bit of money on offer there for second place, and it's one of those situations where you come up with a brilliant horse like Leap to Fame is, and unfortunately for some of his rivals here, it's just the wrong year for them. And that said, what you've just mentioned about Tim's a Trooper, I wouldn't mind having a little share in him. Like he's still won over 300,000, I think, and holds a track record at Albion Park for the stand start distance. So he's a good horse in his own right. So, but I think mapping this race, looking at it, I think My Ultimate Ronnie, they need to push the button early with him, and I think they can get ahead of the 3-year-olds. He can either then opt to park Leap to Fame, which I don't think they would. I think they can let him go, and then they're in the prime position then to pick up that second prize money. So from there, Tim's a Trooper might have to roll the sleeves here and sit outside the stablemate. And again, it's hard to work out early just how hard they want to go, because they can't go too hard because they know they've got Leap to Fame just lurking there. And Grant Dixon, like I mentioned earlier, he had the choice of 7 or 13. He's opted for 7, so I think that he's shown his hand there with where he'll be going. You wouldn't expect him to be snagging off the gate straight up. So speak the truth, that where does he then land? They probably want to go back and come with one run. Can't Find a Better Man's a really tricky one. He does have good gate speed, but where he ends up, if they opt to sort of force it early, well then Tim's a Trooper probably kicks up inside, as does My Ultimate Ronnie. So it looks the Leap to Fame benefit. Yeah,
Can't Find a Better Man. His record here at Albion Park, 7 starts, 5 wins, 2 seconds. He was beaten behind Leap to Fame in the Queensland Derby. He got beaten a nose by Black Sedans earlier this campaign. So he's got a great record at the track. But in saying that, Leap to Fame, Albion Park, 2,138 metres, 5 starts, 3 wins. He was third in last year's Rising Sun behind Ladies in Red and Better and Force and the horse of Tubs and Sugars, and then he was second behind Can't Find a Better Man in the Southeast Derby. So his record is just unbelievably good, and just looking at it with this field, there's a lot of good Patrons Purse form to come out of that race, and it's all sort of pointing to the Rising Sun being the right form line.
Yeah, it is, Chris. I think the Patrons Purse, we're going to look back at the end of the carnival and see that was one of the key races to extrapolate and to go form. Clearly, Leap to Fame, we're all hoping that he is the horse that can be the next superstar of the sport and wave that flag for Queensland. I must admit though, Can't Find a Better Man, I do think closed the gap significantly on where they were, say, 3 or 4 months ago. This horse has had a few starts here in Queensland. He's been dropping 53 halves at will. I think this is his grand final. I can't imagine the McCarthy team took this barrier draw with the intent of just finding a position. I think they're going to roll forward, push hard and see if they can get to the pegs.
Okay, so Bronte, top rate at Leap to Fame. What's next best for those wanting to play exotics?
So the interesting thing about this race is that the Queenslanders actually stand out the most as being very well rated. So if you took Leap to Fame out of this race, horses like Speak the Truth and Future Assured also rate really well. So I've had to put a little stat in there of the best rated horse from Interstate, and that is Can't Find a Better Man. However, in this race, there's just going to be so much speed. Horses are going to be burning early just to get in front of Leap to Fame early. And I think that could leave the value for the horse that's going to come second to actually come from back in the field, because they will be saved for one run. And in that case, I actually really like his Charlie's Angel, because he's got the fastest quarter and he's also got a brilliant last 400.
Okay, that's a really good point actually. There is going to be a mad rush early. Everyone's going to be scrambling for position, because ultimately they'll probably want the back of Leap to Fame, so there could be really strong early tempo. So Leap to Fame on top for you. We're all tipping Leap to Fame, but how do we play the exotics?
Yeah, well, I think you can sum the race up in one word, Larry. Like, he's going to be stand him out. It's I'm pretty sure we have a first 4 jackpot in this race. So if we're playing the exotics, you stand 7 out and away you go from there. And around that, work in probably 3, 5, 6. So My Ultimate Ronnie, Can't Find a Better Man, Speak the Truth, and then maybe some of those run-on horses. They're my numbers, 7, 3, 5 and 6, and unfortunately the 3-year-olds, I think they, as nice a horse as they are, it's just not their year.
Yeah, I've come up with the exact same order, 7, 3, 5, 6. So Ryan, you've got Leap to Fame on top, but you think Can't Find a Better Man can test him?
Oh, I think he can run him close.
Yeah.
I certainly don't think that he'll be beating. I think Leap to Fame, anything from a middle trip and longer, it's just his world. It will be a true staying contest, this event, so yeah, I'm clearly with Leap to Fame. To beat Can't Find a Better Man. My Ultimate Ronnie's such a nice horse. One little interesting stat here is that Ronnie, Speak the Truth and Leap to Fame, the one thing they all have in common is they're all by Bettor's Delight, and the cream rises to the top.
Yeah, 3 by Bettor's Delight, 2 by Rock and Roll Dance, 2 by Sweet Lou. As far as the sides are represented in this field on Saturday night, Luke McCarthy, who drives Can't Find a Better Man, becomes the only driver to drive in all 3 Rising Suns so far, and he's got the job at hand trying to bring down Leap to Fame, but we know he's done it before. Can he do it again? We'll find out. That race gets underway at 8:53, first 4 jackpot of $50,000. Let's hear from 2 of our leading drivers on Saturday night, Luke McCarthy and Pete McMullen. Luke McCarthy jumps in the hot seat to go through his book of drives for Rising Sun Race Night at Albion Park, and he's with us now. Luke, appreciate the time.
Yeah, not a problem at all, Chris.
You've got a great book of drives here on Saturday night, and we start with a key runner in Bondi Lockdown in this first race. It's a really deep race. Bondi Lockdown, he's been out of sorts, unplaced his last 4. What are the expectations here on the weekend?
Yeah, look, I'm expecting a good run from him. He's probably on the clock. He was really good last Saturday night. He just struggled to touch on the turn when they dropped the 27, but he come again in the straight and finished right on the the heels of the winners and run into 4th. And I was quite happy with his run, and I think he's on the way up, and I expect him to run a good race.
Okay, does he have to win this race, in your opinion, to sort of solidify a spot in either the Sunshine Sprint or the Blacks Are Fake?
Oh, more than likely, and I'd be disappointed if he didn't run a really good race.
Okay. His record here at Albion Park, 4 starts, he's yet to hit the board. Are you surprised? Are you disappointed by that, or it doesn't really faze you?
No, it doesn't really bother me. He pulled quite hard his first run, and we trialled him with the head check on, made some changes, and he come out and trialled nice. And then I was happy with his run the other night. I was off the track, it was a fence-dominated race, and he just probably needed a better draw. But he drops down in grade, no accidents or turning up this week, so I expect him to go well.
Okay, from gate 5, likely to go forward here at the start?
Oh, for sure, he'll go forward.
Okay, so good chance there, Bondi Lockdown. Race number 2, the first of our features, the Southeast Oaks, Promised Land. You know this filly well. She's got brilliant early speed, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. She's good gate speed filly. She's just a really good racehorse. She's run placings in a lot of Group 1s, and just always probably found 1 or 2 better than her. But look, she never hardly runs a bad race, and I'm sure she'll be right in the mix again.
Does she head off peaceful here at the start?
No, they're probably equal gate speed.
Okay. Who's the filly to beat in your opinion? Is it Peaceful? Is it Dual Melody? Is it Windy Hill Tara, the New South Wales Oaks winner? Or is there something else, Cheerleader, who won the Redcliffe Oaks? How do you line up the form here?
Oh, look, I thought Cheerleader was really good last start. I think Dual Melody showed to everyone she's probably the strongest filly in this division, so I'd be saying she looks the hardest to beat.
Okay. Promised Land hasn't raced for a little while, but it's a good stable. She'll be at her best here on the weekend?
Yeah, she's a nice, good little racehorse. She always puts her best foot forward. I'm sure she'll run well.
Okay. The Southeast Derby is race number 3. Spirit of Arion is your drive. You probably had the choice here. Was it a difficult choice, or were you always going to drive this guy?
No, there's not a hell of a lot between our 3 guys, and he did win well at Menangle last start. He's got good gate speed, so he can sort of make sure he puts himself in a good spot, and I just thought he was my choice of the drives.
Okay, 2 starts ago, he's got the big 0 next to his name. Excuses there?
Yeah, he just wasn't 100%, and we freshened him up. As you'll see, he had a few week gap between runs, and then he came out and won really well last Tuesday at Menangle.
Okay, he went forward in that race. So what do you do from gate 5 here with some pretty classy horses to your inside, including Naturally Gifted and On Deadline?
Yeah, I still think you got to go forward and try and put yourself in the mix and get up there. He's got good gate speed, so I haven't had a real strong look at it yet, but that's the way I'd be leaning.
Okay, those 2 horses, On Deadline, Naturally Gifted, are they the hardest to beat on paper?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, just with Spirit of Arion, whatever he does on Saturday night, he'll be a little better for the Queensland Derby?
Oh, for sure. He's had the trip up this week, and give him another week to settle in. I'm sure he'll be a little bit better again.
All right. Race number 5, the Fleur de Lille Ladyship Stakes, a mare that you know well. Fleur de Lille, you've got Fairy Tinkerbell. She was able to take out the feature last week. Unfortunately, she's got a second row draw this week, but she was really good last week.
Yeah, she bounced back to somewhat of her best. This will be her last season of racing, so she's getting towards the end, but she's still come out, won the mare's feature last week from a good draw. A little bit trickier this week, and obviously you add the class of Braveview Kelly, who looks very hard to beat.
Okay. What are you hoping for here with Fairy Tinkerbell from the draw? Do you need a lot of speed on?
Yeah, it's just, what it's like. It's tempo related. When you draw bad, you sort of need them to do a bit early to bring the back markers into the race, and but she has proved when she's just had a bad draw and she sat back in the field, like in the Ladyship Mile this year, she ran a good third, so she'll run a good race off cover anyway.
Yeah, Braveview Kelly, as you mentioned, she's the class runner of the field. Won't be easy though, drawing the outside of the second row at a mile at Albion Park.
No, it won't, but I think off last couple of runs, and she raced against the free-for-allers last start, I think she's just probably the strongest.
Okay. Race number 6, the Mr. Feelgood. Really keen to get your thoughts here on Expensive Ego. He was unplaced first up. That was in that stand start race, proving to be a really good form race as well. What are we expecting here with him on Saturday night?
Look, I'm really happy with him. He smashed the clock in that stand. You know, come off 20 metres. I was just a touch back off the tapes. It was almost like he was off 30. So I was wrapped with the way he went. Chose to bypass Redcliffe because I just didn't think he'd had enough practice at the stand just to get him ready for these 3 races. Work's been good, come up with a good draw for once, and expect him to go really well.
Was there any temptation about starting him last week in the mile race?
Oh yeah, tossed it up, but I just sort of was more keen on the 21 and to run him 3 weeks in a row. You know, he's through his racing pattern when he won the Chariots, he'd race 3 weeks in a row. You know, he's in a Dominion, like he'd won all 3 heats, like he thrives on that bit of racing, and we thought this program was the right one for him.
Okay, is there a chance he might be able to find the lead here?
Yeah, on paper I thought he probably looks like he would run to the front, and you know, he's such a good strong horse, he's a great one to follow anyway.
Yeah, it'd be hard to beat if he found the front.
Oh, he's he's a good horse, and if you find the front, he's always, you know, runs along at good tempo, and he'll go good.
All right. Race 8, which is the big one of the night, the Rising Sun. You're driving a horse that's in super form, can't find a better man, and he does boast a victory over Leap to Fame. He's drawn 5, Leap to Fame in 7. What were your thoughts on the draw?
Yeah, happy with the draw. We needed a draw to be at a better advantage point than Leap to Fame, because, you know, he just runs the front and gets an easy lead. Well, he's completely impossible to beat, but you know, it's made it an intriguing race. There's a lot of gate speed there, and you know, it'll probably take us all a fair while to sort out where we're going to be, but I'm happy enough with the draw.
He looked awesome last week. The way he just sort of let down and finished off, brilliant sectionals. It was a sexy win. Did it feel sexy?
I like your choice of words, Chris. Yeah, he was really good. Like he just settled nice, and when I asked him to move, like he ripped that 53-4 or whatever it was half, and yeah, he's where he needs to be, and he's turned into a really nice racehorse, and you know, hopefully we can just get a bit of luck. I'm sure it'll go well.
Is the favourite beatable in your opinion?
Yeah, I think you've got to sort of go into the race with that in mind, especially a $350,000 race. But look, I've got a lot of respect for the horse. I think he's the next superstar of our sport, and he does look extremely hard to beat. But you know, Speak the Truth from was super the other day on the clock. Ultimate Ronnie was good the other night. My fella's going great, so you know, we'll make a good race of it.
Yep. Promises to be a very good race, no doubt about it. The Consolation, Muscle Bar, drawn out in 7, but he probably looks the class horse of this field.
Yeah, just a tricky draw, Chris. He's one of them horses that's, if he gets the right run, he's great. You know, he's hitting 2 fence, 3 fence, or like you let it Redcliffe's okay, but he's an opportunist, so just need a bit of luck from the draw.
Okay, in the last race, Let's Get Rockin', again for Michael Doltov, drawn gate 2. How does he sort of line up here?
Yeah, he looks like he'd run a good race there. He's got good gate speed, and you know, he's been racing consistently well at Menangle, so I'm sure he'll run a good race.
All right, it's a really good book of drives for you on the weekend. If we could circle one that you're most confident about, which one are we looking at?
Oh, it's sort of one of them nights I don't really, you know, I've got a lot of great chances, but without saying their morals, because it's such strong racing, but I'd stick with Let's Get Rockin' in the last.
All right, excellent. Hey, awesome as always. We'll see you trackside Saturday night.
No worries, thanks, Chris.
Leading driver, leader Peter McMullen joins us to go through his book of drives on Saturday night. He's with us now. Pete, appreciate the time.
No worries, Chris.
Your drives on Saturday night. We start with Mr. McLaren in this opening race, which is really deep. He was run down last week after leading. Obviously, Saturday night, we've got to see him in a different role off cover. But at this point in time, is he a better front runner or better chaser?
It's a little hard to sort of get a guide on him. Obviously, his wins are coming in front, but you know, I think going forward he's going to be better off a helmet. So obviously, it's an extremely tough race Saturday night, and you know, pretty tough draw. But you know, we're really happy with the horse, and you know, I think a lot of him. So you know, we're really interested to see how he does go. I'm expecting him to race pretty well.
He couldn't have done much more than what he did last week, running second behind, you know, a potential Grand Circuit horse and can't find a better man, and the sectionals were super. So really positive signs last week. You're right, it is probably a step up, but maybe with a set we might just see a different side to him.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get into it this week, but last week's run was really good. Time was strong, and can't find a better man. He's absolutely flying, and he's going to give Leap to Fame a run for his money this week. So, no shame in getting beat by him, and we sort of gapped out in the others. So, we were still happy with last week, and I think he'll be better, even better again this week.
Okay, is there another race in the next 2 weeks during the carnival that you can sort of earmark for him, Mr. McLaren?
No, it all went pear-shaped. He missed out in the Patron's Purse, which, has probably set him up for a whole sort of bad carnival. He keeps getting belted every week, and he just sort of can't get into a race to show that he's good enough and he's up to him. So, unfortunately, his carnival was over before it even started.
Okay. Race number 3, the Southeast Derby. RD's Flash, one of 3 runners for the stable here. You were always driving RD's Flash?
Yeah, that was always the plan. Obviously, he just kept stepping up, and he was so good in the Redcliffe Derby there. So, Chantel loves driving Whisper a Secret. He's a cool little horse to drive, so she loves him. And the Bowden Blues, we weren't probably really expecting a run, but thankfully he got in there, and I'm sure he'll do a job. But RD's Flash was always the one for me.
Okay, just going back to that last start. Beaten a nose in the Redcliffe Derby. At the line, what were you thinking? Did you think you hung on, or did you think you'd been grabbed?
No, I knew I got beat. Obviously, driving Redcliffe quite often, the outside horse gets the advantage, and it was very, very close. But I was wishing I was on the outside and had that advantage.
Back at the bigger track on Saturday night, how much of a factor will that be for RD's Flash?
Look, he got around Redcliffe really good. I sort of knew he would. He runs the bends really well, and but it's going to be a tricky race this Saturday night. Drawing 9, which on paper looks good, but I feel like we're going to get a bit of a bad shuffle, and at some stage we're probably going to have to do something special to get into the race. Okay,
you are drawn to follow out the early favourite though, and Naturally Gifted. So, not so much of an advantage in your opinion?
Well, he looks the leader, and he's going to be mighty hard to beat in front, and unless we can sort of punch through and stay handy, which I think is unlikely that will happen, but unless something like that could happen, we're going to get shuffled.
Okay, so ideally, where would you like to be sitting a lap out?
Well,
and don't say in front.
From the draw, it's hard to sort of see anywhere sort of good to be sitting. I might be able to maybe put him back into the race and get back around maybe, but it'd be nice to be in front, but that's not going to happen.
Okay, let's go across to race number 6, the Mr. Feelgood, and this is a very important race for a number of reasons. Big Wheels, first and foremost, how did you get the drive on Big Wheels? I'm surprised Chantel gave up her drive on this horse, so how did that all come about?
Yeah, I don't really know myself, to be honest. She's sort of, I think the fields came out, and for some unknown reason I was just on him, and she sort of just left me on him, and didn't swap it over, but I think she'll regret the decision because she loves driving him, and he's racing really well. He's
low flying. His run last week behind Black Sedans and the Wondi's Mate was terrific. Couldn't have done any more.
No, his sectionals were better than any other horse in the race. So the horse is racing really well, and he's got the ace draw. So we hold all the cards, and it's tricky to it's hard to sort of really map out what's going to happen. Obviously, a lot of great horses, and they're coming from all over the place, so it's sort of hard to line them up. But he's got the draw, and I think he'll run a very good race. Okay, is the plan to try and hold the lead, or are you looking for cover? Is Expensive Ego the only horse that you would hand over to here? Well, my name is Leader Peter, so I'd love to sort of stay in front. But obviously, you've got a lot of good horses outside of us. So it just depends on how much pressure we get, and also we've got to be mindful of the horse on our back. Going to be the horse to beat if we do lead. The Perth horse is a very interesting runner here, so you're mindful of the fact that he's drawn directly behind you, so you've got a big call there. What about the fact that the stable's chasing something I'm certain hasn't been achieved before, all these lead-up free-for-all events? So we've had the Lucky Creed, the Wondi's Mate, and we've got the Mr. Feelgood, the last of the lead-ups before the big ones next week and the week after, the Sunshine Sprint, the Black Safari. You're a chance of winning all 3. Yeah, it's pretty scary when you just put it like that, but we've just been very lucky. We've had good draws, and both horses, Big Wheels and Black Sedan, so been in perfect order, and hopefully our luck doesn't run out with these good draws, and hopefully we can get some nice draws in the Sunshine Sprint and the Black Safari. And just on Big Wheels, he's come back a different horse in so many ways, hasn't he? Yeah, like he's been a great horse since he was 2. He's such a good 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, but he's sort of bigger, stronger, and more matured now. So you can sort of see a different side of him, and you know, he's just an all-round great racehorse now.
Okay, let me pose this hypothetical then. If he comes out and wins the Mr. Feelgood on Saturday night, he'll obviously start again next week in the Sunshine Sprint. Black Sedance is going to be there. Which one are you going to drive? Are you fully committed to Black Sedance, or is there still a little bit of a chance that you could drive Big Wheels?
I think if I had a choice, I'd nearly go Big Wheels. He's such a nice horse to drive, but there's no way Chantal will want to swap.
Fair enough. I should have thought of that before I asked that question. The Great Square, the inaugural running of the Great Square. Again, the stable's got 3 runners here. Kenaturio lines up, top at the moment, and Gus. Barrier draw's not kind here for Gus. He's ODM, but what are the expectations with this guy?
Yeah, look, you know, we're going to have to sort of cross our fingers and hope to trot the whole way. But you know, he's a very serious horse. Probably one of the best trials I've ever driven, and you know, he can't have done any more than what he did sort of last week. I think he broke the track record, and his last mile's in 56. You know, and never sort of seen the fence. So, you know, if for somehow we could get into the race, I think he'd be a very good chance. You know, he's got a lot of ability, but we've got to get round safe. That's sort of the first thing, and he hasn't been all that perfect from the mobile, so start's going to be all important. But yeah, obviously it's a very hot field and a lot of good horses, but I don't think he's out of it.
It looks like it's going to generate tempo. It has to, with the quality that's in this field and looking at that front row. So the faster they go, is that going to suit him?
Yeah, I think so. As long as they don't get strung out too much. Quite a big field. You know, it could mean we're going to be a long way off the leaders, but you know, and these good horses, they don't generally get tired. They still get home pretty strong. So unless they do go, over the top and go too hard, it's going to make it a bit tricky. But you know, he is a very fast horse as well. So he doesn't need to be up front. He could come from back if the tempo is suited.
Okay, race number 8, the Rising Sun. This is the big one. Alta Revelry. Let me ask this first up. Were you surprised he got a start in this field?
A little bit, yeah. You know, we sort of put him in there, sort of thinking he'd be a good chance in the consolation, and he got to start in the final, which is it's always really good to be able to be in these big races. But it's up against him. I think he's obviously got horses like Leap to Fame. Can't find a better man. We're real. We know we're not going to be beating them, but it's still good to be in this race and representing Queensland in it. And if he gets a nice suck along somewhere, he'll be hitting the line okay, I think. Yeah,
the draw's perfect for him in many ways, isn't it?
Yeah, it worked out well. We were able to pick a pretty early draw, and so probably able to find the fence and get a nice suck along.
All right, well that's Alta Revelry taking his spot in the main race there, the Rising Sun. As far as the consolation is concerned, away we go. He's got a really tough draw here, the outside of the second row, but this is wide open, this field. If he gets the right horse to follow, can he put them away?
Yeah, he showed a couple of starts there ago. He's still got it. He's just sort of needs things to go his way and be in the right place at the right time. And last week, probably didn't suit him. Went to the fence and got a bit of a bad shuffle and got held up, and there wasn't a lot of run on. But if he gets a nice suck along, he sort of can do his job. Okay,
it's a big field again, so that's going to be the issue. Traffic.
Yeah, it's sort of when you got this sort of horse in these strong races, it's hard to sort of put them into, and they're not probably the best horse in the race. So going to make it a little bit tricky, but fingers crossed he can run a good race.
Okay, the last race, race 10. Again, you team up with Tisha Naradi. You were behind this guy when he was able to score first up. He put away Danger Zone, and Danger Zone has since raced well since. So the form line looks good. A little bit of a tricky draw. A few early scratchings probably helps. What sort of feel did you get from this guy?
Yeah, he gave a good feel, and straight away you could tell he was a pretty serious horse. But the draw's going to make it hard this week, and probably not a lot we can do there. But if something happens and we able to get a bit of space, I'll definitely know he's there. He's the real deal. He's been in the Chariots of Fire and raced good horses all the way through his career. So he's I think he'll do bigger things down the track. Yeah,
he went good time winning first up. He looked comfortable doing it, so he might be able to go a little bit quicker. Yeah,
and he sort of did it pretty easy. He wasn't sort of how I thought he was going to be, but he was never going to get beat.
Okay, well that's a good drive to wrap up the program. Just looking at your drives, which one are you most looking forward to?
To be honest, I'm looking forward to Mr. McLaren.
Okay. All right, well, it's a good test for him, nice and early there. Race 1, number 12. Hopefully he'll be able to catch the fire and you can dance away with a victory there on Saturday night.
Definitely, that would be pretty good, nice, wouldn't it?
Hey, we'll see you trackside.
No worries, thank you.
It's a cracking night on Saturday night at Albion Park. 10 races starting at 5:10. 2 Group 1 features, the Rising Sun, which is race 8, featuring the star performer Leap to Fame, and the inaugural running of the Great Square, which is race number 7. Great interest there, and there's great representation from many different pockets of the country, plus New Zealand. That's a race for 3 and 4-year-old trotters. Mobile start conditions over 2,138 metres. A mares feature, the DJA Trot Final. We've got the Southeast Oaks, the Southeast Derby, and the Mr Feelgood Open, which is the final lead up to our big open class races. Next week, the Garrard Sunshine Sprint. 2 weeks' time, the Grand Circuit race, the Blacks Are Fake. So that is all in front of us. It is a very, very strong program, no doubt about it. Plenty of depth in each and every race. Time now for a good thing or two. Bronte, as far as Sulky App is concerned, what are you coming up with on the night?
Yeah, so I almost did every race have come to a Victorian on top, obviously, apart from Leap to Fame, but I'm going to have to stick with Doug's Platter. I just think he's going to hopefully get a good run, and he might be a nice, exciting horse to watch late.
Okay, so that's in the Southeast Derby, race 3, number 10. Darren Clayton, your best bet for the night?
Yeah, I think we have to be patient. I like the chances of Bold Medley Jujon in race number 9. Real front-running horse. He's had 6 starts at Albion Park, 5 wins. They've all been when he's led, and I think this is his opportunity.
Okay, so coming up with Bold Medley Jujon in the Rising Sun Constellation. Ryan Spice, your best bet?
Chris, race 1, number 5, Bondi Lockdown. He was excellent last week in the free-for-all mile event. He was 3 wide solo from the 800, dropped to 54 last half, and he was really strong his last 100. I think he can get forward here in this middle trip event, bully his rivals and be the one to beat.
Okay, so get the cash nice and early there. Race 1, number 5. I can't label anything on Saturday night. Leap to Fame's the obvious, but he's at a good things price. So I think these races are really difficult, plenty of chances. So I think just play wide and shop for value there. Play the exotics as well. First fours on that Rising Sun carries a big jackpot, and the quaddie also plenty of interest there. So it's going to be very interesting. We've all given quaddies. We're all standing out Leap to Fame. Looks really gettable to quaddie on Saturday night.
You'd like to think that when you put your numbers together, and I think in that first leg, if we play the numbers 1, 2, 11 into 1, 5, 8, 9 into 2, 5, 6, 11 and bring it home with Larry.
Okay, Ryan, your numbers are very similar to Darren.
Yeah, they're very, very similar. I have gone relatively skinny in the first leg. Carla Jane, Uptown Beach Girl and Braveview Kelly into 1, 5, 8 and 9 in the Mr Feelgood. Just taking the 2 in the Great Square. I do like the chances of Hot to Trot and RC Phoenix, and then standing out the good horse in the last leg.
Yeah, I'm the same. 1, 2, 4, 11 into 1, 5, 8. 2, 6, 11. We bring it home with number 7. So hopefully we don't have to spend a great deal to get that quaddie on Saturday night. That's races 5 through to 8. So that's all in front of us on Saturday night. We look forward to it. The first of 10 getting underway at 5:10.